On October 9th, there is a full moon in Aries, and it's making a conjunction with Chiron. Now, Chiron is the healer, the teacher, that bridge to something new. And what does this mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you about the full moon. It's on October 9th. It's at 16 degrees of Aries. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. In the last video, we talked about the lunar phases from new moon to full moon. And so in this video, we're going to cover the lunar phases from full moon to new moon. But before we do that, I just wanted to bring up a couple of points about the chart and the trends that are happening right now. We're in the midst of the Saturn-Uranus no partile square. Now, this means that it's kind of a near miss. It's not going to come together exactly. Now, it did come together exactly previously. During the pandemic, we saw its effects. And so what's going to happen with this is it's a near miss. So it may feel like something is going to happen, but then it doesn't. If we put that together with Mars in Gemini, the Sun going into Libra, and Mercury retrograde at 0 degrees of Libra, what we have is a lot of hot air. We have a lot of people talking very dire predictions that are probably going to fizzle. Now, it is super easy to get caught up in the media cycle where, we're supposed to be afraid of this and then we're supposed to be afraid of that. And this is going to really be churning out some dire predictions. That is that the sky is falling, it's the end of the world. And yet, this energy is very much like a hot wind blowing on us. And that is that it's just wind. Now, of course, if you're in a situation, if you're in an area of the world where there's actual danger, then you want to take yourself and your loved ones and move away from that danger. But for most of us, we're going to hear about the dangers, but when we look around in our actual environment, everything's going to be rather peaceful. And so this is where we need to differentiate between what we're being told and what is actually existing in our personal reality. Now, because this is related to that Saturn-Uranus no partile square, plus the ingress that we had when the Sun went into Libra, this could occur for a full 3 months. So be aware that over these next 3 months, and this actually started, 2 weeks ago in September. But recognize that until we get to the beginning of winter, that people are going to be really panicked. And that doesn't necessarily translate into a reason to be so panicked. Now, I am very big on being prepared. And so how do you prepare for a lot of the things that people are talking about, which is everything from inflation to shortages to deflation to it goes on and on. Well, of course, it is to make sure that you have your emergency supplies, also build your skill set, build up community so that you have people that you trust, that you can rely on, and to learn more about yourself and how you deal with life in general. And that's why you study astrology. Now let's talk about the full moon and the cycle of the full moon to the new moon, which is the waning cycle. So this encompasses 4 different periods of 3.5 days each, and so it covers about 2 weeks. This waning cycle begins with the full moon, and so this is the height of energy. This is the strongest the energy will be. So if we consider this like a year on the farm, this would be full-on harvest time. This is the biggest, most energetic time because you have to get all of the fruits and vegetables in before, the animals and birds eat them. So you have to you have to move quickly. You want to do things in a big way. Or you could see this as the party, as the time where you announce something, where you put something out into the world, where you say, this is the thing that I've been working on for a while, and now it's ready to be seen. Next comes the disseminating moon. So this is a 3.5 day period between the full moon and the last quarter. And this time is where you are putting out something into the world. And so this is what we call the teaching moon. And so this is where you're taking what you know, what you understand, and giving it out. Now, from a harvest standpoint, this might be the time where you are dividing up your harvest to what you are going to keep, what you're going to sell, what you're going to put up for long-term storage, and what you're going to save for seeds. And so you are basically finding the little buckets that everything goes into. So this is the time where you may be taking what you know and what you understand and putting it out there in the world. Then comes the last quarter moon. So this is in the waning cycle. So this last quarter moon is kind of when you clean up after the party. This from the idea of the farm, this would be where there's only a tiny, tiny bit left to glean out of the fields. Or I think it's glean. Is it gleam or glean? So you guys can correct me in the comments. That would be awesome. I know it has a biblical reference, but I can't remember if it's gleam or glean. But this is also the time where you are taking all your tools that you used in the harvest and making sure that they're oiled and protected and put away for winter. And so this is the time where you are finishing up things. So when you're on the last quarter moon, this is a great time to say, what is it that I need to get done? And really focus on that energy. And then finally we come into the balsamic moon, and that's the 3.5 days before the new moon. And this is the quietest, most spiritual time of the 28-day cycle. And this is a time where we go within and we look and say, okay, what worked, what didn't, what do I want to take into the next cycle, and what am I planning for the next cycle? And so from a farm standpoint, this is the dead of winter. And so you are stuck inside, you're eating the food that you put up, you're darning socks, and you're talking about what you're going to plant in the next season. So this is a time where you really do want to do your spiritual work and to focus on looking at and processing the time before. So now, of course, in our daily lives, we can't run our lives based on completely on the moon cycle, because sometimes we have to start projects during a waning moon. Sometimes we have to finish things during a waxing moon. And so, but if you have something that you really need to finish, then this is the 2-week period, I should say the waning period. I don't know when you're watching this video, but you want to try to tackle that during the waning period. Whereas you may want to wait to begin something new to the waxing moon. This particular full moon is Aries, and Aries is cardinal fire. Cardinal fire is like lighting a match. So you're in darkness and suddenly you light a match and boom, now the place is lit up. And so everything is like, quickly do something because now there's fire. But it's a match, and so there's very little fuel. So you have to take action very, very quickly because that match is going to go out. And so this is the energy of let's get something done. And so you're going to see people who have strong emotion in the moment, strong anger in the moment, a strong action in the moment where they impulsively run off to do something, and then it fizzles after that. So how you can use this energy is if you're trying to get something done, you may want to race against a clock. You might want to set a timer or, base it on the microwave and try and get the entire kitchen clean before the microwave dings, or to set yourself up a timer when you're doing some work. And so that you're going to work for a certain amount of time and then you're going to give yourself a break. And how this is going to manifest in the world is you're going to hear a lot of people say, act now. You are going to miss this opportunity if you don't do something immediately. But what they're doing is they're mirroring the energy of the Aries moon. So it may or may not be true that you need to act immediately. This is because everyone feels the full moon chart and the new moon chart and all of the charts, but they may not recognize that. But you, because you're studying astrology, you are recognizing this energy, and so you don't have to be swept away by it. This particular full moon makes a conjunction with Chiron. Now, Chiron is often said to be the wounded healer. It is a place where you've been wounded in your life, where you are working to heal. It is also has some teaching energy to it. And so this is as you teach others or help heal others, you are then healed. There's an astrologer named Elizabeth Hazel, and she does a wonderful lecture on Chiron. And she talks about Chiron as being alternative healing, everything from Reiki to herbalism to, animal therapy, like having a therapy dog. She also talks about it as being the master of symbols and symbolism, and how symbols in our life can really tell us so much deep meaning about what's going on in our lives and who we are. And so this is not just astrology and astrology glyphs, but this would be things like runes and also tarot. So, and I guess I should mention at this moment that I have a new tarot course out on how to read the tarot, and not by memorizing a book or a lot of terms, but actually talking to the people in the cards and going into the pictures in the cards and really feeling the energy. And there is a link to this course in the description. Elizabeth Hazel also talks about Chiron being one that goes into a battle, but with a desire to make a bridge between two different things. And so that is the going from old to new, maybe traditional to the modern. And so there, where the person has to battle their way out of the old and then into the new, that's where she's talking about crossing that bridge or finding a way to go from point A to point B when it's not that easy because there's no obvious bridge. So this may be that you are bridging something between traditional medicine and alternative medicine, or that you're bridging your ideas to someone else's ideas, or, as I said, something old to something new. So that's the energy that is focused, and it's focused with this Aries full moon. And so it's like in a moment, you may have a flash of an idea, and then you want to see if you can make it to that new idea through the bridge. Okay, before we go sign by sign, I just wanted to say that we are doing tropical Western astrology. You want to listen to your rising sign because that's going to give you the most accurate picture of the next 2 weeks. If you don't know your rising sign, you should listen to your sun sign because that is going to be very helpful information. And if you would like a copy of your chart, you can send me your birth information. You can send me your birth information and I will send you a PDF. Also, if you don't know me, I have some great programs out there, video courses. I have one called Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart, and then also that tarot program that I mentioned earlier. I write for horoscope.com and astrology.com. I do the weekly column on astrology.com. So hopefully you'll check that out. And I am really beefing up my newsletter these days. And so I'm going to be adding a lot of content to that. And so you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. The link is in the description. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, this is the full moon in Aries, which means that you are halfway through your 1-year lunar cycle. And so you are now entering your full moon period, which is the height of the energy. That means that this energy for you doesn't last 2 weeks. It actually lasts about 6 weeks. And that you are entering your harvest time. And so that means that you need to take a look at the projects that you have been working on, that you've been planting seeds about, and you either need to finish those and start, reaping in the benefits, or go back to things you already know how to do and reap those benefits. So if you have been procrastinating on anything, and by the way Aries procrastinates is that you can jump from thing to thing where you are not finishing something. This is at least where you could bring in some help to get something finished or finish it yourself. Now, this full moon is lighting up your area of the physical body, and that's where Chiron is as well. And so this is about taking a look at how you're treating your body and making some adjustments. And so that is, looking at how you're exercising. Maybe you need a massage. Maybe you need some Reiki or something like that to look at how your physical self is doing. And as I said before, make some adjustments so that you can move towards health and healing, or healing and health. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, this is a very good time for you because the sun is making a trine with Mars, plus you have the full moon lighting up relationship houses. So if there was ever a time for you to go out and meet somebody new. Now is the time. That means that, as you are accepting date invitations, party invitations, let your friends and family fix you up, but go out and meet new people because your ability to meet someone now is very strong. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, there is so much energy in these houses that it does show you really trying to connect on a deeper level with your partner. And the same possibility is that they're trying to connect with you. Now, because there's no aspect between Venus and Mars, it may be a little challenging just to sync up your schedules. So if you find that you're kind of two ships passing in the night, you may have to sit down and work something out so that you can spend some time together. But otherwise, you're doing very good energy. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Venus, which is moving to conjunct the Sun, which is fantastic. That's in your house of relationships. That means the more people you meet, the more money you can make. It also means that you are coming together with someone who could be instrumental in helping you make more money. So again, you want to be social. You want to connect with others. And so the things that I said about your new love life or meeting somebody new for love, that also works for money too at this time. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money derived from your career, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. So you're making about the same as usual. And that's probably because you are more starting up some collaborations or connections at this time, and you're getting paid outside this 2-week period. So I still see that things are quite strong for you, but I think the paycheck is just a little bit delayed. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to money derived from career, which is an actual paycheck, versus that other one, which is more money from your business. But when we look at money derived from career, Venus is making it in conjunct with Uranus, which means that you can make more money in your job, but you're going to have some sort of strings attached to it. And that might mean that you need to train someone, work some additional hours, or do something else that causes you to have to adjust your schedule or your mindset even to make it happen. So you may want to wait until this energy lines up more favorably. So you do show the possibility of making more money, but I do see some strings attached. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Venus is making a conjunction with the Sun. So you have some excellent energy. And this is really good if you are launching some project, if you've been working on your novel or your art portfolio, things like that. If you are starting to look at some different types of investments, this is a time to be working on that. Of course, this is the category for risky investments, so don't invest more than you can afford to lose. This is that area where you're rolling dice, so it's literally like gambling. And so, but the energy is good if this is something you've been working on, and if you want to launch some sort of creative project, this is an excellent time. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of intuition, psychic ability, but also compulsions, addictions, and things like that. So, and of course, the full moon is sitting there next to Chiron, which is about healing. And so this is very much about looking at if you have fallen back into some old bad habits, or if you are feeling like some sort of negative habit is growing inside of you, anything from too much shopping to drinking or playing too many video games or things like that. This is the time where you can shift that to something more positive, which would be, working on something spiritual, working with your intuition, or maybe doing something that is more private, like journaling or doing any sort of like neurofeedback, hypnosis, things that where you're working on your inner self are really good at this time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Mercury, and so the energy is a little bit quiet. Now, it's interesting because the full moon is lighting up your house of secret liaisons, which is that 12th house that we were talking about, and so It's possible that you've already started to see someone, but maybe there's some reason that you are both keeping this relationship secret. And so maybe it's moving forward, but it still feels like it's very tenuous, kind of held together by a little thread, because this is not something that you're able to bring out into the open right now. And then when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. And so again, we're seeing more that things are happening behind the scenes for you. And so perhaps you're at home more together, you're sitting on the sofa, you're not really working on your relationship, but you're having some togetherness. So the plus is I'm not seeing contention, but I'm also not seeing that the relationship's getting stronger. It's more that you're just sitting together and, dealing with life, but not really working on the relationship with each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is in Virgo, about to go into Libra. So it is straddling the houses of creativity and adventure and finding things that are fun to do, and then going into that area of work and routines. And so this is very much about being creative, at least for the first week or so of this 2-week period, and then sitting down once you have the ideas and getting to work on it. So basically, this is a classic make the plans and then implement the plans aspect. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making an opposition to Jupiter, so you are likely to make more money than usual. Now, it's interesting because this is an out-of-sign opposition, and that means that it may not be as obvious. So it's like the money may not directly come from customers. Maybe it's somebody who comes and wants your services, or you get money for doing a lecture or money from some of the content that you've put out. So there's something that is not so direct, but I do see you making more money over the next 2 weeks than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, Mercury is making an opposition to Neptune. So finally, you are in a place where you could make money from lots of different ways. And so this is a good time to be asking for a raise, connecting with your supervisor about your career trajectory in general, and also thinking about whether it's time to move on to a new company or a new job so you can get more money. So you show really good prospects in this area. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Mercury is at the last degree here. Well, almost. So it's at 28. The last degree technically is 29. But we would say that Mercury doesn't have any more aspects to do before it changes signs. And so the interesting part of this is that you might be at the tail end of figuring something out and you're ready to implement it. And if you're not, if you have been struggling to figure something out and you're still not ready to implement it, you might want to drop it entirely because it doesn't seem like this is coming together. And so push it aside and wait until it changes some way, like the terms change or the price changes or something, so that then the deal becomes better. So, and it could be that just things going on in the world have you thinking that this is not the time for something risky. Taurus, you're generally pretty risk averse. And so if this is just some sort of long-term project where, you're writing a screenplay or you're writing a novel or something, you may find that you have kind of painted yourself in a corner. And so you have to, again, set it aside until you can kind of think this through. And then that energy will shift and you'll see things line up in a future moon cycle. Okay, Gemini, this full moon is in your 11th house, which is about the future, friendships, and community. And so it's lighting up this area. It's there conjunct Chiron, which means that you have an opportunity to heal some relationships that you have with friends or with an organization. So, maybe you are with an organization, but you don't feel they're on the right track right now, so you're not spending time with them. So maybe shifting that. So, but mostly if you have friends, you can reach out to them. You can really heal a rift that has happened between you and another person. So this is a good time to start that process. Now, when it comes to a love relationship, specifically new love, basically the full moon is happening in those houses. So even though there's no aspect between Mercury and Venus, this is really good energy because it says that you could meet lots of new people and you'd have, like many choices, but it also says that your charisma is quite strong. You're very noticeable now, and so people will come to you. And so this is a time where if you're looking for new love, you want to make sure that you're findable. And so that is, put your profile up, or like unmask your profile if it's in sleep mode or something, but be seen, and you can attract love to you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making an opposition to Jupiter. The interesting thing is it's an out of sign opposition, which means that the two of you can come together, but in something that you're doing that's not typical. And that helps strengthen this relationship. So, maybe you're building a piece of furniture together, but you don't do that all the time. Or maybe the two of you are going to try a new activity together. And because of that, you have this great time and you get closer together. So by doing some activity that's not typical, you strengthen your love relationship. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the full moon, which is there up in that house of the future. So first of all, consider looking back at your goal board or whatever vision board you've done for yourself or list of goals, and read through to see, one, what you could cross off the list because you've already accomplished it, and two, what's still there, and is this still what you want? Because over the next 2 weeks, you have this time to really focus on those things, get those implemented, or let them go. And so this is to look at what you were thinking the future was going to bring and how you're moving towards that. Now, Chiron, of course, is with that moon. And so that is where you could release some anger that you have about not making a goal, or sadness that you have that some goal is now past, that you made it, but it seemed fleeting. So there's some healing that can happen with this as well. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money derived from your business, the moon's making a sextile to Saturn, so you have an opportunity to make more money than usual. The sextile, it's necessary for you to take an action to make it happen. Saturn is sitting in your house of legal paperwork and foreign countries. And so maybe this has something to do with, getting some sort of permit to bring in merchandise, or maybe you are looking at expanding your market to a world market. Maybe this is just about getting some marketing materials done, because Saturn in the 9th house also rules marketing. So this is, though you take the action, you make more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from a career, you have really excellent prospects here because the full moon is in that house. So lighting up this area, which means you can make more money even by just, mentioning it. Because I think if you mention it, they would say, yeah, we know you need more money. We're trying to get it to you. But also Mars is making a sextile to the moon. So again, you initiate it, you do something, and then something good can happen. So I think this is one of the best combination of aspects you've had in a while for making more money through your career. So you may want to grab it. And finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The moon is making an opposition to Venus. So there is positive energy here, because we always need an aspect to get the money that's out there into our hands. So there is an opportunity here. Of course, with a risky investment, please be careful because these are very volatile times. It's a tiger year, and I am working on the videos for the rabbit year that's going to be in 2023, but we're still in a tiger year, and a tiger year means high volatility. So do be careful. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. But this is really ripe for launching some big project that you've been working on, or looking at how you can capitalize on some of the lower prices these days. And so starting something that's a bigger concern. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your 10th house. That is your career, your reputation, your social standing. And so you are more visible at this time than you are usually. And so that means you can get people to come to you, whether that is for relationships or for a new job. So you really want to capitalize on that. You know, you don't want to miss that. Now, it is making a conjunction to Chiron. And so that is that people may come to you and suggest that they can help you in some way, which is lovely. And it's also that people will be looking for your help as you take the role of the healer or the teacher. So I think that that can be very good for you. Also, because of this conjunction to Chiron, you do want to look at your career in general with this idea of health. And that is the company that you work for healthy? Is it bleeding cash? Does it have a strong balance sheet? Is the industry you're in a strong industry, or is it getting weaker? Is it contracting? And so that can help tell you whether you need to stay in this industry, or I don't mean need, but could stay in this industry, or if you're going to need to move on. You know, Jupiter is now at the very top of your chart, which is wonderful. It's going to be there now for a few months. And so this is a really good time if you're going to change jobs to start thinking about it. So if you have already, because this is a full moon, if you've already started looking, perfect, really double down on that now. If you have not started looking yet, this is just the time for you to collect information and start assessing, and then also let go of stuff that might be blocking you from changing jobs. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the moon is not making an aspect to Pluto, the moon is so elevated right now. You are so easy to be seen. So it's less about you searching for someone or going out there to find someone, and more just putting yourself in a place where others can find you. So that is to make sure that your profile is up, to tell your friends and family that you are open to going on a date. And even if, because there's no aspect, it takes more than 2 weeks to get that first date happening, you still could make that connection. And then after the new moon, then go out with them for the first time so that you can see if there's really love there. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a sextile to Saturn, and that's a lovely aspect. Saturn's in your house of intimacy. And so this means that not only are you doing things together, but you're feeling like you trust each other more, you can count on each other more, you're becoming more of a team. Now, it is a sextile, which means that you need to initiate some of this action, but when you do, you get really good results. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun, which is right at the base of your chart, which is interesting because it's very connected to family. That means you might be looking at how you interact with your family. Like, do you have a family business? Do you pool your money together so that you can buy investments or things like that? Or maybe you've been thinking about that, and so you should start the meetings for that, to see if you can release some of the blocks to that. It also is to look at what you can release in the way of childhood blocks or trauma around money. This is a really good time to let go of limiting beliefs around money that you got from family, or just, has been carried through the family line. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the sun is making an inconjunct to Uranus. So it says that basically if you do the parts of your business that you don't really enjoy doing, you make more money. And that is maybe working on the back office, or perhaps for you, it is not working on the back office, but you being the face of the company and putting yourself on camera, or, going out and doing some sales so you can see if the sales pitch you have for your salespeople is working. Or it's maybe you just phoning up different customers and reminding them that you're there and you're there to help them, etc. So this is focus on the tasks that are a little bit more arduous, and you'll make more money. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, you have excellent energy because the sun is making a conjunction to Venus. So this is the best time you've had in a long time to ask for a raise. And this is probably something that had been in the works for a while. Even if you hadn't initiated it, they've been thinking that you're underpaid and that you need more money. And so this is the time to start that conversation. It's also a great time for you to change jobs if you want to make more money. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The sun's not making an aspect with Pluto. So you want to be quite cautious when it comes to risky investments right now. The energy is not lining up. And it's interesting because that full moon is at the top of your chart, which quite possible is some news about an investment you were considering is going to come out, and then you're going to have something revealed to you, and you're going to say, thank goodness that I didn't move forward on this. If you are already in this, you may just want to hold on and wait for the gyrations of this market to settle down a little bit. And that's still going to be a while because of that no partile square between Saturn and Uranus. We're going to see things get pretty bumpy for a bit yet. I know things will calm down quite a bit when we get into the rabbit year, but we're months away from that. I'm working on some videos about that, so those will be coming soon. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this full moon up in your 9th house. That is about belief system, knowledge, education, especially higher education, travel, legal matters, and some aspects of spirituality. And so this is conjunct Chiron. And so what we're really looking at is you looking at the belief systems that you have, because those are the foundation of which you're basing everything else in your life. And so that is, did you come by these rules by careful study, really considering them, or were these just rules that you adopted very early in life and you've never questioned whether they were really right for you or right in general? And so here comes Chiron. Chiron is helping you heal limiting beliefs, but also to bridge from the old ideas to the new ideas, because we're here to grow. And as you grow, you have more opportunities to expand your world by looking at what the limitations that you've put on yourself are about. Now, this also could mean that you're healing issues around travel or going to church. You may also be looking at a lawsuit and trying to find a way to settle, and that would be a healing between the two of you rather than to continue to fight. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's not making an aspect with Jupiter, and everything, although it's quite elevated in your chart, it's not really lending itself to meeting somebody brand new. So the energy may be that you are meeting somebody that you knew before, and you are then seeing if you're the same person, which is unlikely, and whether they're the same person, again, unlikely, and if you're growing in the same direction. And so when it comes to new love, you might want to consider somebody maybe that you have dated once or twice in the past. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, it's a different story because the sun is making an inconjunct to Uranus. So this means that you are coming together trying to strengthen your relationship, but it is based in things that you're very different about. And so you need to find the common ground. And that is because it's an inconjunct, one or both of you are needing to adjust. And so this might be that, that you like to go out on the town, they like to sit home on the sofa. And so how do we find the things that are in common? And I don't know, maybe you end up at a restaurant that has sofas or you invite friends over to the house. So you can find a way that to bridge this gap, especially over this next 2 weeks, you could strengthen your relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mercury, which is back in your house of money. So some money ideas that you've had now you can build a framework and start to work on these. You may also receive some money that was promised to you during the Mercury retrograde period, and now that money is finally coming to you and in your hands. So I do see you making some money, especially from a source you don't normally have, just some lump sum of money that's coming to you. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making an opposition to Neptune. And so the money that is out in the world has an opportunity to reach you. Neptune's in a money house, Mercury's in a money house. So everything's lining up to show that you're going to be making more money over the next 2 weeks. So you really want to capitalize on this. When it's in opposition, there might be a need to come together with someone for some sort of compromise, negotiation, or collaboration. And so look to do something like that so that you can make more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, you're in an interesting situation because the planet that rules this is in a money house. That's fantastic. And Mars is in that house. and it's in Gemini, which is ruled by your money planet. So all of that really looks good. The issue is that this Mercury is very late degree, so you're running close to the end of the period where you can ask for more money, and that might mean that your company is making a shift and they may put a freeze on raises even though you really deserve one, or they're just not feeling like they're expanding like they were. So you don't have very much time left to start that conversation, and this is just a time to plant that seed, to start it, because once you get the, like, yes, we're going to follow through, you at least have that to build on. But if you ask now, you do have a better chance than you might have going forward over the next few cycles. And then finally, when it comes to money from risky investments, and these include things that are highly leveraged, time sensitive, or things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, Mercury is making an out of sign opposition to Jupiter. This means that there's some money that can be made, but it's not obvious. And that means that perhaps money is derived from some aspect of something, but you're not making money directly from it. It may mean that you are sending out some marketing or launching a new product, and then some of your other products start to sell. And so you might say, wow, I don't see a correlation, but it's because there was more energy that you are putting out into the world that other people, like, ding, they were reminded that they should go buy the thing they were thinking about buying before. So we are seeing possibilities here for you. It's just that you're going to have to look, because it's not going to be, so direct or obvious. Okay, Virgo, this full moon is in your house of power, control, resources from others. It's the 8th house, and this also rules the truth. And that's where we pull in this idea of intimate relationships, where there's someone that you can really trust. Now, this is sitting with Chiron, and so some of this energy could be around regaining trust with someone. Maybe you have lost their trust, or they have lost your trust, and so you are taking the steps to heal that situation. But it's also about looking at where you think you have power, where you think other people have power over you, and seeing if you can shift that dynamic so that the power that belongs to you is residing with you. And some of that is, to give a very practical example, would be the idea that your boss technically has power over whether you have a job or not. But what the boss does not have power over is your skill set. And that means that if you lose this job, you have the skills and the ability to go find something else or to create your own job. So that's where the power then can shift back to you. And so this is about power. This is about control. And so if you are feeling like power is in other people's hands, that your life is out of your control, this Chiron connection can help heal that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the energy is not lining up that great, because this cycle is very much about trust and this idea of truthfulness and really feeling a connection. And that's very difficult to do with somebody who's brand new, because until you trust yourself, until you believe in yourself, you're going to feel that you have to trust the other person, and that's hard to do when you don't know the person. So I think a lot of your focus is on people you've already met, people you've already started a conversation with. If you've gone out with someone for a few times, maybe you're exploring that relationship, but meeting somebody new during this 2-week period is challenging. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, it's an entirely different story, because Mercury's making an opposition to Neptune, and Neptune is in a relationship house, Mercury's in a relationship house, and so there is a lot of positive energy for coming together, collaborating, working together, and harmonizing this relationship. Now, it doesn't mean that you're becoming identical twins. You are still doing an opposition, and so that is sometimes you go off and do your things, and they go off and do their things, but that you do have more common ground now than maybe you've realized in the past. And so it's time to affirm that common ground and strengthen this relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Venus, which is in a money house. It's moving to conjunct the sun, That is fantastic. That's all part of this full moon energy. And so there could be something that you are bringing to fruition now that is going to bring you more money. This means that you've already done, the back work, the planning, you put the scaffolding up, and now you're basically doing the extras to reveal this to the world. And so look at projects you're already working on and see how you can move those forward, especially to a point of launching. So because this is very positive energy for you. Now, when it comes to money from your business or from traditional investments, even though the Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, the amount of energy you have in your money houses is really strong. So I think you will be making more money than usual, although I think most of the extra money will be coming outside the 2-week period. But the full moon is lighting up a money house. The sun is lighting up a money house. And so you have lots and lots of energy and activity going on in these houses. So again, when you have that, it's not a time to sit back and just, let autopilot take you. It is a time where you should be looking for opportunities, because this is where you have the wind at your back and you can capitalize on the energy. And then when it comes to money derived from career, you also have a good aspect, which is Venus is opposing the moon. And the moon is in a house of like corporate perks and things like that, that 8th house. That is, like cheaper insurance, 401k match, stock options, things like that. So even if you can't get a raise at this time, you may be able to negotiate things that are valuable to you, even to the point of getting a more flexible schedule or getting to work at home longer. So this is a time to be looking at how you can negotiate for some of those perks, because this energy is quite positive. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. So, and I say that always really fast, but what that means is this is like buying a franchise or starting a business from the ground up, or getting into something that is quite risky, like a highly leveraged investment, or something that has to pay off within a certain amount of time. Or this is something that you spend a lot of time working on spec about. And so that would be like doing an art portfolio and then going and showing people what you can do to get a design job. So I'm giving you all of that preamble because you're doing a great aspect. Venus is making a trine to Saturn. And so this is one of the best times I've seen for you for launching something big. Now, of course, this is risky investments. And so do be aware that you shouldn't be putting in more than you can afford to lose. If you are saving for long term, and you want it to be there, then that's more traditional investments. And while you have good energy in that house, it's not lining up so perfectly for this gigantic win this time. You have opportunities to launch something now that could be really beneficial for you in the long-term future, but also give you something in the short term. So that's why I gave you that whole preamble about what this house is about. This is a time for you to say, like, take your art portfolio, done or not, and go look for that job. Go look at the, if you want to buy a laundromat or a vending route or something like that, go look about those things now, because you are doing this good energy. Okay, Libra, you're doing this full moon in your house of relationships. This is also about partnerships, collaboration, finding a mentor, close friends, and dealing with people who you may have difficulties with. And this is sitting there with Chiron, giving you an opportunity to heal relationships. Now, I don't mean to say that you can be friends with everyone. This is a very big world, and so there are people with very differing viewpoints. And so it's not necessary that everyone like you. It's more necessary that you find people who you really connect with. And if it's not the person in front of you, then you move on to someone else. And so this is a time where you can make deeper connections with your friends, where you can find someone for that deeper love connection, and where you can find people to collaborate with, or mentors or influencers who will help you. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making an inconjunct to Uranus, and that means think outside the box. That is, instead of going the usual route that you do to meet someone new, try something different. And that might mean going to a business meeting to meet someone, or going hiking and not caring if you meet somebody, so you're not all dressed up, and then you can meet somebody there. So this also may be to look at the type that you keep attracting and see if you can make some adjustments in that area. So by making some adjustments, some new opportunities for love arrive. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, these houses are chock full of energy. You're doing the full moon here. Venus, which is your planet ruler, is in your first house along with the sun, and they're going to make a conjunction. Jupiter is in your house of relationships. So everything is very good here for strengthening a love relationship, to make sure that you collaborate on important things, that you allow each other some space when you need to really find what each other needs and to come together so that you can support each other and be a true team. So you have really good energy for this over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money both from that Pluto, still in your fourth house of real estate and family connections, as well as the Mars that is in Gemini, and it's in your house of education, travel, foreign things, legal matters, and belief systems. And now that Mars is going to be there till next March. And so you're going to hear me saying the same things over and over. A lot of this is that more money can be made by building your skill set. And so you might want to look at accelerated learning programs or other things that you can do to give yourself the credentials, either that the outside world needs or you feel you need, so that you can make more money. And that might even just start with, getting some education around handling money. And finding investments and things like that. So this energy says, it's there for months. You do want to use it, but it's all about gaining the knowledge you need so you can expand your material and prosperity prospects exponentially. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, and nor is it making an aspect with Mars. And so right now, while we see you working on collaborations and connections and all of that, it's not necessarily yet translating into money. Now, that's only a 2-week period. It's possible that someone's placing an order, but they're on a net 30, and so they don't have to pay you for a month, or that you're seeing investments rise, but it's not time to take profits. So I'm seeing good things in the financial area for you, but the profits are not necessarily reaching your accounts just yet. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, you do have a big opportunity here, but it's a little bit fleeting. And that is that even though the sun's not making an aspect with Pluto, it's making a trine to Mars. And so this is a time to ask about not just getting maybe a raise, but to get additional perks, because it may be that your company is feeling contraction because of the stuff going on in the world. And so they're willing to be maybe more flexible with your hours, or maybe let you work at home longer, or give you some other sort of perks. But I do see a big opportunity for you to either make more money in your job or get some other benefit. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. The co-rulers are making a trine, and that is that it is an opportunity for you to make money. It may not be as obvious, and so you might have to sit and meditate on this to think about what other ways you can derive some profits from a situation you're in. It also may say that you want to just take a little bit of profits because there is the potential to have more profits later. It is possible, like if this is a situation where you're doing something on spec and you've launched it, and the launch was a little bit on the quiet side, you may want to repackage it in some way and relaunch. And so I am seeing that you're making a little bit more money in this area over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this full moon in your 6th house that is lighting up your area of work, health, and daily routines. And it's sitting there with Chiron, and Chiron is about healing. And so one of the things is to look at daily routines and seeing if these are leading you to better health. If you have routines of maybe staying up too late, eating sugar, or doing other things that are actually draining your energy, and then wondering why you don't feel emotionally balanced, or you tend towards some negative thinking, making a switch could be very healing at this time. Now, this is also about healing some issues at work, maybe with a coworker, and that could be that the two of you are starting to see eye to eye, or maybe they move on to another department, and so you feel good about that. So because Chiron's kind of the bridge between the old and the new, it's also possible that you are transitioning into something else at work or some different routines, and that's helping out. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, of course, Neptune's making a sextile to Pluto. Neptune's still in your house of love relationships, and Jupiter is on its way back. Jupiter's not quite there yet. I think you need 1 or 2 more cycles. I didn't look it up, but it is getting closer, which means that you're getting closer to finding this person that you've been looking for. So this means this is not a time to give up. This is a time to continue moving forward, knowing you are getting closer. And some of that, of course, is because of the inner work you're doing of letting go of the past, letting go of, limitations, limiting beliefs, and insecurities, so that you can meet the person as you truly are. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. And so your focus is really on making your life better. And so I think in your current love relationship, you're just kind of moving along together. I'm not seeing any unusual amount of support, but I'm also not seeing any real unusual difficulties. So this is, where you find the relationship challenging in the past, it's still that challenging. And that's going to happen for this 2 weeks because that's not the focus. And so if they irritate you in some way, you just ignore it. And if they are supportive, try and be mindful of that, because otherwise you may not see it because you are so focused on moving forward towards something that is more beneficial and helpful for yourself. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Jupiter, which is going to be transitioning from your house of work into your house of creativity and that desire to take, something and make it really fun. So I think that this is a time where you need to start thinking about how your current job could be fun, could be more interesting, and be creative about it. And if you cannot think of a way that that could happen, you may be needing to look for another job. Now, this also says here that your thinking process is opening up to possibilities. So it's possible you had some good ideas before and then you tried to implement them while Jupiter's been in Aries and you've had some mixed results. Now Jupiter will go back into Pisces where you reformulate your plan and get ready to launch again when Jupiter goes back into Aries. So you are stepping back like you're at the doorway right now and you're ready to step back into this planning mode, into this envisioning mode. So this is a time to do your goal board or look at the goals you already have and see if these are still relevant. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury's making an out-of-sign opposition with Jupiter. So there are profits for you, but they're not so obvious. And that, the classic thing that happens with this is like you place an ad for a certain product and then everybody comes and buys a different product and you're not seeing a direct correlation. But the universe connects things. So as you put yourself out there, the universe finds what people want and then they come and get it from you. The same token, you might put a lot of energy in one type of your investment portfolio while another type rises. And so I am seeing you make more money over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so this would be like a paycheck, you are also doing that out of sign opposition, but I want you to know that Mercury's at the very last degrees here. It's at 28 degrees. It soon will be 29, and then it changes signs. Now, what that means is there may be something going on at your job that says you have a limited amount of time to ask for this raise. Perhaps your industry is going through a contraction or because of inflation, they're going to stop giving out raises. So you have a small window here to ask, and it is small. You definitely want to ask within 2 weeks, and I would say even the first week, to make sure that you get your name in time so that they can say, okay, these are the last raises we're giving, and you get one. And then when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Yep, it's getting closer, but it's not here yet. And so, again, keep working on this as Jupiter rolls back. You're going to get that conjunction again. That's going to be a big opportunity for you to take profits. So that means you want to be doing all the work behind the scenes that you need to get everything in place so that you are ready to launch when these two line up. And if I didn't say, that would be Neptune and Jupiter. And so Jupiter will go back into this house. That's also going to bring you extra luck. It's not quite there yet. So it's kind of like having a conversation with somebody through a doorway where you can see them, but they're all also distracted by the things that are in the room they're in. So just be aware of that you know, you could get distracted by other things. And so you need to pull yourself back to work on this type of investment if this is something that you want to manifest. And also, because these things are not lining up, make sure that you're not investing more than you can afford to lose. Okay, Sagittarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your 5th house. That is children, creativity, risk, adventure, and romance. And so this is what's lit up for you. And basically it's saying, how are you having fun in your life? And it may be the case that you don't even know what fun is anymore. And so now you're doing a conjunction to Chiron to heal that energy. And so if you've been all work, no play, it's time for you to find things that, you know, are within your budget, are within your time limitations, and are still fun. And that might be some creative endeavor that you do. Maybe it's some sort of sport that you do, some sort of contest or challenge. You know, maybe it's just a meetup group where you're playing board games online with somebody. But something that you find is fun that can come back into your life so you can do a little healing in this area. Now, there are also, because this is your area of children, you may also be healing relationships with your kids. And remember that Chiron's about being a bridge from the old to the new. And so, you know, you represent the old in this category because the kids would be the new. And so there is this transition of the old ways of doing things versus the new ways of doing things. So before you tell your kids, oh, I think you're heading for a cliff, you say, hey, what is your thinking process in this? Why are you heading this direction? And really see if you can have a conversation with them so that you can both heal. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, even though Jupiter's not making an aspect with Mars, this is where the full moon is. So you have great opportunities when it comes to love relationships, meeting somebody new, especially somebody who you meet by chance. And that is go out and be around people, go to groups, or, you know, let your friends fix you up with someone and find a person that way, because you can, through a chance meeting, you know, even at the grocery store, meet somebody who's really intriguing and have a connection. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making an out-of-sign opposition with Jupiter. And that means that the two of you are coming together to work on your relationship, but the things that are in common are not so obvious. And so it's going to take a little bit more discussion to strengthen this love relationship. There is such good energy, though, with your love relationship that if you don't feel like working on it at this time, you can just continue to do what you do. And that's okay, because you will come together at times, you'll do your separate things at times. But because of that out of sign opposition, there are some gems here that if you think, oh, you know, my partner really loves sports, I really love to do crafts, maybe we could do that in the same room, and that way we're spending time together. Something like that. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from Saturn, which is in your house of communications, making that no partile square to Uranus. No partile, if you missed the introduction, means a near miss. They come kind of together, but they don't really happen. And so what that may be is that you're thinking that you have to completely dismantle or rebuild your skill set or your business or something, but you don't really. That there is more of a structure in place than you're thinking, and that you don't have to blow up the entire thing to make something work. And so you still do want to use the Uranus to repurpose things, and that can help you if you are building, and scaling your business. But before you think, oh, none of this is working, and you go to walk away, there are some parts that are really working here. And that's what you want to focus on. And ask yourself the question, what here does work? What does not work? And take what does not work and repurpose it in some way. That's how you use this energy. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Saturn's making a sextile to the moon. So there is an opportunity for you to make more money over the next 2 weeks. Now, a sextile is predicated on the idea that you take some sort of action. That means you have to call up the customer or call up your broker. You need to go look at the investments and, move things around. You need to, do some marketing. But when you do, you get good results. So the sextile is a little bit odd because if you take the action, then it feels like the trine. It feels easy. But if you don't take the action, it just passes you by as though it were never there. Now, speaking of a trine, when it comes to your money derived from career, so that's paycheck, Venus is making a trine to Saturn. And so you do have an opportunity to make more money from your job than you have in the past. Now, this, I think with the typical economic climate that we've got going on, a lot of companies are shrinking and going to be in the future, stopping raises and maybe even hiring and things like that. So I do think your time, your window is limited, though not as limited as I've seen with some other signs. So this is a time to ask for a raise, ask for more perks, or if you're looking for a new job, you can negotiate a higher salary. I think you could be making more money within 2 weeks. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. And I just wanted to say, because I rattle that off pretty fast, what I mean by that is highly exotic investments that are leveraged or that have a time limit so that if you don't make a profit within a certain time, you lose your investment. Or things that you have to do on spec where you take a lot of time to do it. And so like an art portfolio, then you show clients or potential clients to get a job. Or things where you have to put in a great deal of money, like buying a business. So that's what we cover under risky investments. And I said all of that because you're doing a really good aspect. So if you have this in the works, this is the time to move forward on it because Mars is making a trine to Saturn, plus you have the full moon energy there. And Jupiter is still in this house, which offers some protection. And I say some protection in that the universe will give you luck, but they also give you a lesson. And so sometimes that can be really good, and sometimes it's a lesson that you didn't want. But all that said, you do have some potential here. So this might be your time to launch a new product or to start a new type of investment or start negotiating to buy a business or something like that, that this is a time to consider it. Now, it's not a time to rush. If you do not have all of this ready, then you might want to wait for this aspect to line up again. But you may also, though, want to take what you do have ready and do a smaller launch. So that was a long way to say you have good energy in this area for this next 2 weeks. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of dwellings and family. This is the family that you live with, so that could be roommates, or your extended family, and family and blood relatives, of course, that you live with, but also extended family, and as well as your spiritual family. And so this is where you're doing that conjunction to Chiron, which says you have an opportunity to heal some relationships. Now, because Chiron is a bridge between the old and the new, this might mean that you're going to older relatives and discussing them transitioning into another situation, maybe a different living situation, or that you are saying that you're transitioning, so your relationship is different with them. This also could be healing your relationship with roommates or people you live with, or you're healing the dwelling itself by maybe doing some home repairs. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a trine to Saturn, so you do have an opportunity to meet someone new. Venus is elevated in your chart, which is fantastic. That means you're very easy to see. I try that again. You're very easy to see and your charisma is very high. So this is a time to put yourself out there because you really could meet someone and start a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a sextile to Saturn. There is an opportunity to strengthen this relationship and to have a really good time over the next 2 weeks. And that's kind of hand in hand with such good energy around your home and family. And I say good in the sense that there is some healing taking place and that is some work, but it's certainly worth it. Now, because this is a sextile energy that you're doing between Moon and Saturn, you do have to take an action. That means you have to initiate. They're not going to come to you. You have to go to them and say, this is what I want to work on. And even if they're also Capricorn, they may come to you and say, I want to work on something, but it's a different thing than you want to work on. So this is, if you take the action, then you get the benefits. Or you both get the benefits. That's a better way to say it. Now, when it comes to your money, you are in an extraordinary time right now because you are pulling money from that Uranus, which is making a no partile square to Saturn, which is the co-ruler of your money, and they're both in money houses. So this is your time. And because you can't really do that much in 2 weeks, this is a time to plant seeds or to move something that is existing forward. And so take a look at your things, like what you need to do for your business, what you need to do for your career. Maybe it's updating your resume or updating your website, and get that done over this next 2 weeks because planting those seeds right now is really good. This is a no partile square, so if you didn't listen to the introduction, I'll encourage you first to listen to the introduction, but that means that they don't come exactly into a square. It's kind of a near miss. And so you may get and feel very stressed about some money matter that then fizzles. And so if you are very worried about some aspect of money, make sure that you're covered, but also recognize that your worst case scenario is probably not going to happen. What's more important here is to take your skills and solidify those by having a good plan, putting that plan in your calendar and implementing the plan. And that's what's going to build your wealth. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the sun is making an inconjunct to Uranus. That means there are profits there, but they're not so obvious. Or more accurately, you have to do something that you didn't really want to do to get it happening. And that might mean you need to spend more time on your accounting to see which of your products are profitable or which of your investments are profitable. You might have to pick your investments up from one place and move them to another to get lower fees. So you have to do some sort of effort or work, and it's not that satisfying to do in the short term, but over the long term, it's quite helpful. And even in the short term, I see you making more money than usual, but that's only when you're saying, okay, I'm going to go do the hard thing. When it comes to money from your career, so like a paycheck, the co-rulers of these two houses are making a trine. So trine is good, but the fact that they're the co-rulers kind of makes it a little bit removed. And so that to me means that time is running out, that maybe your job is starting to put down some rules to say, like no more raises and, no more promotions and things like that. They're trying to lock down because of the economic climate. And so you need to squeak in under the wire. A trine is really good energy, and so you may have already planted the seeds. You might be looking for a new job, and so you still have some time to negotiate for a better salary, but you don't have that much time. So do it in this 2-week period, and I think you'll be happy. Now, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Venus is making an inconjunct to Uranus, and so that is go do the harder thing. And that's, in this category, that would be reading the prospectus of this very exotic investment. Like read everything you can, really be able to explain this investment to your grandma. When it comes to buying a franchise, to do your true due diligence and not just take things on face value. If this is about, you taking your art portfolio and trying to get a job, that is, go do that. Go risk having somebody say no. When you go do the hard thing with this aspect, that's when you gain. It is if you take the easy route or the safer route, then you don't get the profits. So do the hard thing. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your third house. That is communication, short distance travel, also neighbors, siblings, things like that, contracts, agreements. Now I have to say something because I just said that. Negotiating of contracts is not this house. This is where you're actually reading it over and signing it. So this is where you're dealing with the paperwork part of the contract. But this full moon is doing that aspect to Chiron, and that's about healing. And where I think the real healing is going to come in, maybe with a neighbor or a sibling, like maybe you do strike a bargain with your neighbor that they don't put their trash cans in front of your driveway or something like that. But this is more about you healing the dialogue that is within your mind. And so maybe you're starting meditation, maybe you are just doing a mindful practice of being aware of your thoughts and recognizing how many of these thoughts are from your past. Like how many times are you thinking the same thing that you thought yesterday? How many times are you saying something that your brain can't really work on? Like you're saying a definitive statement or something that has no answer to it. Like changing up what you say to yourself will change your life. And now you have that connection to Chiron where you can heal in this area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's not making an aspect with Uranus. And so Mars is there, but I don't know that that's where your focus is. I think your focus is more on looking at some self-care, looking at how you are presenting yourself out into the world and how you feel about love relationships in general. And I think when you heal that energy, then love's going to be much easier to find. So I think that the reason we're not seeing this strong is it's just not where your attention is. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, there is some energy going on because the sun is making an inconjunct to Uranus. Now, what that means is that you're kind of irritating to each other and you do need to work something out and you need to find the common ground. And that's challenging with an inconjunct because, traditionally an inconjunct means there's no common ground. And so you might find that you have to adjust to support each other and then you discover the common ground between the two of you, which is probably that you're willing to adjust to support each other. So this is starting with healing communication between the two of you or maybe taking a trip together, because if we can pull you out of your regular environment, then you feel like, oh, we're both doing new things. We're both uncomfortable. So we'll stick together and do this uncomfortable thing of, trying to figure out the hotel room lock or, where to have dinner. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the Neptune, which is in a money house, plus the Jupiter that's right at the doorway of the money house. That means that pretty soon Jupiter is going to be there and money can start flowing in. So right now you want to make sure that you're in a mindset of being aware of money-making opportunities. If you are saying to yourself, oh, I wish I would make more money, and then it just stops there, that's not helping you. But if you are actually going out online and starting to investigate different ways people do make money and then bring it home and start to break it down for yourself, where you are envisioning the different directions that you can go, who you would talk to, and envision the entire process, then the universe can send you the opportunities and you'll recognize them when they are there. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, Mercury is making an opposition to Neptune, and so you do show more money over the next 2 weeks. I think that because Mercury's in a money house, Neptune's in a money house, you have some very good prospects for taking some profits or having some good sales. So this is some good energy. When it comes to money derived from your career, so this would be like a paycheck, Jupiter is not quite making that conjunction to Neptune yet. Jupiter is outside the door, so it's kind of like having a conversation with someone who's in the next room. And so you're not really connecting together. So you would have to find some way for you to find the common ground. I mean, maybe you want a raise and they want you just to do more work, and you have to find a way to mesh those two. So, or you may want to just wait until Jupiter is a little bit closer, which is going to happen in one of the future cycles very soon. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Mercury is making that opposition to Neptune. And Mars is in that house. It's in Gemini, ruled by that Mercury. So you have all of these different connections going on. Mars is making a square to Neptune, so you have a T-square going on. So you may feel a great deal of urgency to get something going. If this is something like you are doing your art portfolio to show to prospective employers and you don't feel it's quite ready yet, you feel like this is a big risk, this is a good time though to take that risk and maybe go to a potential employer that you're not so thrilled about, like not Disney, like Disney or something like that. And if they say, oh no, this is what you're lacking, then you can go back and work on that. If this is about, trying to buy a business or a franchise, you might feel a great deal of pressure to get this job done, to get everything on paper and all of that. But you do want to still, be careful because this is a risky investment. If you're putting in a large sum of money, you do want to go through the paperwork and know what you're doing. If you are doing some sort of leveraged or time-sensitive investment with this, again, you're going to feel such great urgency because of that T-square, but I think that you can just breathe. Remember, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Putting in a little bit can still give you the flavor of the investment and get you started and help you determine what your true risk tolerance really is. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of money, possessions. It's also about self-worth, that sense of deserving. And it's sitting there with Chiron, which says that a healing is taking place. And so on the very basic level, this could be just healing how you handle money. If you have been just not caring whether you have money or not noticing how much is in your account, being unaware of your spending, it's time maybe to heal that. You may do a healing through your possessions and say that you have too many possessions and you want to get rid of stuff, or that you want to exchange the bulk of your possessions for really high quality ones. But ultimately, the best healing that comes here is where you are healing your self-worth, and that is whether you think you are worthy of the opportunities and abundance that the universe can offer. And that is to look at, what you feel guilty about, and if you can, you make amends. If you feel you have wronged someone, you try to make amends to that. If that's not possible anymore, then you may do something to atone, and that is, that you donate some time to a charity, or you say, okay, I'm going to do better in my life. So by raising your self-esteem through letting go of the past and doing better today, you can attract more abundance and more opportunities. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making a semi-sextile to Neptune. And so that is that you can meet someone new, but you keep getting tripped up, like you're not leaving the house, or you're not actually pushing the button and making your profile online live. Maybe you have your profile up, but you don't have any pictures up. So you need to take the small little detail-oriented steps to make this happen. And when you do, you have an opportunity to meet someone new. When it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making an opposition to Neptune. So you do have a very strong opportunity to come together and make this relationship better. And that is by finding common ground or working on a project together. So maybe, maybe start meal prepping together, or maybe you're building a piece of IKEA furniture together, or you're doing some sort of project where you need each other's help, and that strengthens the love relationship. So I do see you being thrown together more often because of some external project. Working on my vocabulary. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mars, which is at the base of your chart, which does talk about what kind of foundation you are setting up to build your wealth upon. And so that is, good money management, knowing where the money is going to go. Like if you were to come into some money, what would you do with that money? Because if you're saying, oh, I would just relax and not think about it, then the universe doesn't see the lessons that you would gain and the growth you would gain from giving you that money. So now this Mars is making a square to Neptune, which is your sign ruler. And so there is a lot of opportunities right now. You have the full moon in the money house. So you have really good money making opportunities that are all around you. So you want to slow down for a moment and visualize what you want and then open your eyes to see what is in front of you. And if it's not exactly what you're looking for, either negotiate for something better or look in a new place to find something that you do want. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, there is so much energy in your money houses. I don't think that's going to stop you from making more money. I think that you can make more money over the next 2 weeks. It may be, though, that the biggest money comes in after the 2-week period. So I see potential of more sales, of investments rising, of things happening that are very beneficial for you in this area. But I think the bulk of those profits are coming outside this 2-week period. Then when it comes to money derived from career, that's like a paycheck. Saturn's making a trine to Mars. Now, this is important because I think you have a limited time to go and ask for a raise. And I think if you ask for a raise, I think you're going to get it. But because there's a limited time, I think it would be really wise to ask in the next 2 weeks, even the next week, because I think that due to external factors, the whole, your industry may be shrinking or the company may be locking down a bit and not be so willing to give raises in the future. So I think that you can still sneak in under the wire, or if you're negotiating for a higher salary for a new job, I think you can get it. So because this energy is quite positive. And then finally, when it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, they're highly leveraged or time sensitive. Mars is making a sextile to the moon. And that is great news because you have great money houses. You have an opportunity to make money in this area. Now, a sextile means you need to take an action to make something happen. So you have to initiate. That means that you have to call the person and start negotiating what you could buy their business for. You need to call up the company and say, I have my art portfolio. Can I show you my work so I can get a job? So anything that you've been working on for a long time, if you're getting ready to launch, you need to do the last little bits of tweaks and then get that launched because this energy is quite good for you. I do see you have potential to make money over the next 2 weeks and long term because of the actions that you're taking now. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.